Oh no. Son of a...
What is going on, everybody? It is the Money Match Gaming Podcast. Today we're talking Bohemian Rhapsody, but first I am one of your co-hosts, Lance, aka The Infinite, CEO of Money Match Gaming, and I have my other co-host with me. It is our boy Dan Estrata. You little prep next time.
Little too quick, but hey, I got the right side this time.
Yeah, you just went in there, but it's cool.
I was excited about it. So, what's up, guys?
What's going on?
It's me, Dan, the other podcast co-host. I don't have any AKAs. I guess if you're friends with me on Xbox, you call me Boomer Jam, or you just call me Dan, because that's what everyone else calls me. But yes, this is the Money Match Gaming podcast, talk show, extravaganza. We're here for you forever and ever and ever and ever. And today we are talking about the movie Bohemian Rhapsody, which is directed by Bryan Singer and is starring Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury. Yeah, I mean, there's other actors in the movie. None of them are really too well known. I would say Rami Malek is the most well known if you are a fan of the show Mr. Robot, which I am. But this movie is basically the story of Queen. So if you like Queen and don't care about any of the actors, this is good for you. And if you care about the actors and don't like Queen, maybe don't see a movie about Queen. I don't know why you're going to the theaters. But anyway, Lance.
Sure, I'll take us
Give us that description.
Okay, Bohemian Rhapsody is a foot-stomping celebration of Queen, their music, and the extraordinary lead singer, Freddie Mercury. Freddie defined stereotypes and shattered conventions to become one of the most beloved entertainers on the planet. The film traces the meteoric rise of the band through their iconic songs and revolutionary sound. They reach unparalleled success. But in the unexpected turn, Freddie, surrounded by dark influences, shuns Queen in pursuit of his own solo career. Having suffered greatly without the collaboration of Queen, Freddie manages to reunite with his bandmates just in time for Live Aid. While bravely facing recent AIDS diagnosis, Freddie leads the band in one of the greatest performances in history of rock music. Queen cements a legacy that continues to inspire outsiders, dreamers, and music lovers to this day. Boom.
Boom.
Exit. Yeah, that was nicely written. So I like it.
Yeah.
Per normal, I would go into general statements, but I don't want to. So, you could shoot your general thoughts, and there's reasons why.
Okay.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, generally, I thought it was a very enjoyable movie. I'm a big fan of the music of Queen, always have been. So it's cool to it's essentially like a Queen musical in a sense, which was great. There were some, they could have gone more in depth, and they took some liberties with the real story to make a more dramatic story, which is fine. But overall, I very much so enjoyed the movie.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna start with a pro of this movie and what I did actually enjoy about the movie. the great thing of having all these people's stories and histories out for us to see, even if it is a little embellished or a little of the story's probably missing, because that's kind of how I feel about this, is like the whole story wasn't
Yeah,
told.
for sure.
But in general, I just enjoy actually realizing that, success isn't this fairy tale, like they all had these weird struggles, and obviously we saw Freddie's more than anyone else's, and I think that's kind of on purpose. He's like, the guy dead, obviously big traumatic. He's the lead singer. I get all that stuff, but I feel like they dove a little bit too deep into his. But like before I get there, I just really enjoyed watching this story. That like there was constant friction, there was constant turmoil. It was never this smooth sailing ship
Right.
that everybody views success as. And I've watched several music documentaries. I enjoyed this one as well, and they all kind of say the same thing. Like you want to be exposed to the world. You want to engage with people. You want to matter. You want to mean something. And they kind of show the journey of learning yourself, because that's generally what these stories are about. And I really enjoyed that, because it really put me at ease. We're attempting to do money match gaming. We're attempting to create our own way. We're trying to do something that hasn't been done quite in the same way. And, at times there's a lot of friction. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of blank stares into the empty abyss. And this movie shows you that that's just normal. And the friction that you have with your teammates, the friction you have discussing different topics and where to go and how to do this and, how to make it all happen is just as confusing for some of the greatest of all time. And, it's my favorite part of the movie, and why I was glad that I went to go see it. I was kind of a little wishy-washy, but like just that alone, re-establishing that idea and thought as often as humanly possible just helps me on my journey, and I'm sure would help my team and squad and anybody else striving to do something that's bigger than yourself, So,
Yeah.
boom. I know that kind of stands for itself, but definitely kind of where I wanted to start, because it's just that's what the movie reintroduced, and like I see it in a lot of other things, because I watch so many different kinds of like content that encourages you and says, look, it don't run from your struggles, don't run from your obstacles and so on and so forth. We all have them. You just, like, the most important thing you can do is keep moving forward and just keep attempting to do what it is you want to do.
Yeah. There's definitely a message of that in the movie. Yeah, I don't know. I agree.
Okay, all right. Well, if you don't have anything to expand or anything, I can just go to the other one, which is kind of the same thing for me, to where I really love that moment in the movie where Freddie decides, okay, I'm not going to be a toxic prick anymore. Like, and that moment's when he fired Paul. Right. Mary was there. She was like, "Oh, I'm pregnant." Blah blah blah. And by the way, this is an open discussion about the movie. So if you haven't seen the movie and you're kind of like, "I want to," then please stop. You can watch this on YouTube later on, and all the other places we put it, like DTube and things of that nature. So if you want to check it out there, go ahead and do that. We need to work on our disclaimers a little bit, but
yeah, it's okay. I don't think this is like really a movie that's ruined by spoiling it, since it's a story. It's essentially a real story for the most part. They obviously dramatized some things. For example, like the whole Jim Hutton thing. Yes, that was his husband. Well, not husband, because he couldn't get married at the time, but that was his like partner towards the end of his life. However, that's how they met in the movie is not how they met in real life. The band never did break up. That was not a thing that actually happened. They were together for a few months before Live Aid. Like, there's a lot of things that they changed for the sake of making a more dramatic movie. But yeah, that's why I think it's not really like too spoilable, because it's just, it's like this guy's life. If you Google it, you pretty much can get the same story,
Right. But like, that was probably my favorite part of the movie, is just like when he makes the decision, like, okay, I need to focus on what's important instead of running away and trying to find all these cheap ways to avoid the truth that I'm like afraid to face, which is my family, everybody that I think cares about me and everything that I've like tried to build thus far, because I think that was like the crutch of Mary for him in a lot of
Mhm.
senses, according to this movie. Like that, like she was like the real one that accepted him,
Yeah.
and it was just easier than confronting his father. It was easier than confronting his family. It was easier than confronting all the other people that were close to him. It was just okay to like make home her, make my
Right.
safe place her and stuff. And obviously, that kind of goes so far. But I just really enjoyed that part because I remember a lot of those moments for me.
Hmm.
And then like there's just so many times where it's just a decision.
Hmm.
It's just the decision. As soon as you make it, your life changes. And I don't know how fast that process actually was, but obviously in the movie it was like frames later, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm I'm cool now."
Right.
And quite frankly, I think that's very realistic towards life, to where it's literally is just I'm done.
Sometimes one thing, can fix everything or break everything depending on which end of the spectrum it is.
Right. So I mean, that those are the great parts of the movie. I mean, it was entertaining in different ways, but
Hmm.
I feel like I have a few more cons than anything else, man. Any positives and feelings about this specific movie and stuff like that? The
No, like I
story.
said, I'm a very big Queen fan, so I very much so enjoyed the movie because it was like watching it, like almost like watching a Queen concert with like some little behind the scenes stuff going on at the same time. It was a fun ride, I thought, through the entire movie. I took my mom to go see it. She really loved it because she's a big Queen fan as well. So yeah, it was good. I mean, uh, I didn't have a lot of like crazy high feelings or crazy low feelings. I mean, the only con I really had is like I was saying that like the liberties they took with the actual story to make it more dramatic. Uh, you know, but other than that, I thought it was good. I thought they probably how do I explain this right? They didn't go into all the details with some of the darker sides of his life. They kind of left that pretty laid back. Like they sort of with him and his what was the manager's name? I can't remember right now.
Uh,
Alan
yeah, and then Paul was kind of
or
like
Paul? Paul, that's what I'm
Paul.
thinking.
Okay.
Paul, yeah, yeah. Paul the villain. Uh, they kind of go in it with him a little bit, but not too much. So they could have probably done more with there, and I think that's why Sacha Baron Cohen stepped away. I think he wanted it to be an R-rated movie and go into the more darker side of his life as well, which they did not want to do as a studio because you can make a lot more money from a PG-13 movie, and I get that. But sometimes maybe going a little bit further is better. But other than that, I thought it was a fun ride. Good music. I thought the actors all looked like the movie was casted super duper well. Like I was looking at comparison pictures between like the actual bandmates and then the people who played them in the movie, and it was like spot on for every single person. So that they did a really good job of casting.
So this is actually what I didn't like about the movie. As a person who obviously likes quite a few Queen singles, even if I'm not like fully cognizant of, oh, that's a Queen song. At the end of the day, it is a little before our time and everything like that. But like I kind of disliked that they went so far into Freddie Mercury. Like I wanted a more like band dynamic to where we got more history of like how they mesh together and how those things come on now. And then I have written here, like I'm not sure, why they made the movie. It could be a movie that's kind of complete fan service. You got to be into them. Like we don't really want to go into these nitpicky situations or anything like that.
Well, the movie was more so supposed to be a Freddie Mercury movie. That
It
was the whole
was
idea, was for a Freddie Mercury movie, but a big part of Freddie Mercury was Queen, which is why the movie pretty much focused on just him the entire time and didn't really go into the extras of what anybody else was doing.
okay. Yeah, and that's I have that written down too, to where I was going to ask you about the intent, because usually you're pretty like versed in that stuff, but like,
Mhm.
like that really just extremely bothered me a lot, because I just wanted.
um, yeah. Do you guys want me to sing for you? I could sing some Queen. Like, buddy, I hope on make a big noise, standing in the street, gonna be a big man someday. He got blood on his face, big disgrace. Baby, you can't roll over
Okay.
his face. He's back.
Yeah. Sorry about that. You know, I do have a daughter. She decides to interrupt me every now and then, but that's cool. But yeah, I was just hoping for more like group dynamics and stuff, and maybe, you know, I kind of led the conversation with like how like I enjoyed seeing like the turmoil, you know, like even when they were making some of the greatest music, you know, of all time, you know, that people love till this day, you know, like they just weren't in the best of places, you know, it was just kind of like some worky situation. I wanted more of that because I just find that stuff really, really interesting. Now, mind you, you just told me like it's supposed to be a Freddie Mercury movie. It
Right.
makes a little bit more sense, but even still, they kind of missed a few things for me. Like you said, it's probably because they made it a PG-13 movie, but I really wanted to know why the riffs were there. You know, like
Well, I
why?
mean that's because the riffs was mainly Freddie. You know, Freddie has a very eccentric personality. Uh, he, you know, it's lives life to the fullest extent at all times. He was the most popular member of the group, so obviously he was getting the most attention of all of them. Which, when you live in ritz and glamour and fame and stuff like that, that could either that can go to your head, which it happened at some points, and it can take a hold of your life, whether it be drugs, alcohol, partying, anything like that. Which Freddie did a whole bunch of all that as well. So that, you know, whereas the other guys, after growing up, starting families, they kind of weren't into that life anymore. They were a lot more calm, and they weren't about staying up till 5 o'clock in the morning doing drugs and getting drunk and, you know, having sex with hookers or messing around with people of all different genders all at the same time, doing whatever you want, like just, you know, living. But that's what I think caused the rifts. You know, the level, the gap in between the band and Freddie Mercury, where Freddie Mercury really outshone them, and that's why they put that whole thing in the movie with the "I'm going solo," because it added to the like the difference the difference between the members of the band and Freddie Mercury himself, where he had that liberty and could make all that money doing that, where they didn't really have that option. So it was kind of a slap in the face to them.
Hmm. I see what you mean. I see what you mean. I don't know. Like it confuses me now because like, you know, I'm not like super into the history and stuff like that. You know, and like, you know, this is like one of the things that I kind of brought up originally. Like, you know, I don't know. I'm just more confused than ever than after watching the movie. You know,
And then also because of like not even just within the band, it causes friction. You know, when they remember that scene where they're doing the press tour for one of the albums, and all the questions are about what's going on in Freddie's personal life instead of what they just want to talk about, which is the music, which really makes it hard to promote the band that way when you can't really talk about the band or can't really express your enjoyment about the band or disenjoyment about the band, when all you can do is have either answer questions about Freddie or have Freddie answer questions about himself. You know, it's like I equated it yesterday when I was talking to my mom. It's kind of like playing on a basketball team with LeBron James, right? Everybody's just going to ask them questions about LeBron James more so than they're going to be like, hey, you had a pretty good game tonight. How do you think you did that? It's going to be like, hey, how do you think LeBron James feels about your performance tonight? You did pretty good. Like, come on. And like, that's why I made, like, you know, getting into sports here, but that's why it made sense when Kyrie left the Celtics, like, or the Cavs. Like, I got it. I get it. I understand why you don't want to be the second Bobby.
yeah, I mean, sure, but like, see, this is why it's so confusing now because it felt like the group wasn't really hung up on that. It felt more like, you know, like, all right, well, he's gonna go off on the deep end, you know, and all right, let's show support, but at the same time, kind of go away. And so, like, you know, the riffs just don't really make sense the way they portrayed them, in my opinion. Then because, you know, like it doesn't really feel like riffs. It felt like Freddie was just like, all right, I'm gonna go party, and then the rest of the group were like, all right, well, I'm gonna go home. So it's like, how true is that? Do you know? Because now I'm just asking you questions about
Well, yeah,
like the truth.
that's I mean that yeah, that's kind of true. Uh, that's some of what caused it, but it wasn't just that I'm gonna go party. It's the showing up late. It's the having attitudes with everybody. It's the not listening. The thinking that you're the most important person in the world, and when anybody asks you a question, rather than giving them like a nice calm answer, you fucking mouth off at them. That's gonna cause some dynamics.
Okay. So it really was just those scenes about him showing up late, him being high, him
Like, oh
not
yeah, all
being
those
completely
things.
coherent
Like
and
it's all
stuff.
rolled into one. Just kind of, uh, you know, it has its effects.
Okay. Okay, cool. And like you said, I really enjoyed the acting of this movie. I felt it, I don't know, like everybody didn't seem like themselves, and they
Hmm.
really got into the parts and stuff. And watching all the trailers and the actual people talking about, no, that's like me. He
Hmm.
did that perfectly. He got the ad libs right. He lifted his arms. He did these different special things right. And I think they did a really good job. It's a weird segue, but
Hmm.
like I just yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think they did a great job. Um, cinematography, or yeah, cinematography and like choreography was very good. Um, I know that I was reading today, Rami Malek had to not just do like kind of like dance rehearsals type things to kind of learn to move and have those, just be as flexible as Freddie was, just always kind of on the move, being an entertainer. But it also, vocal lessons. Like, granted, he didn't sing. I mean, he sang on set, and they used part of his voice to create the Freddie voice that they used for this movie. But it wasn't just him singing. Obviously, that's not Rami Malek is not that good of a singer. Um, but like talking, just trying to talk like Freddie Mercury, like he had to do a lot of vocal training. He said just to try and get the way he talked and his dialect down, and not being like too much, just sounding like Rami Malek.
Okay, well, I don't know. That before part kind of squashed everything else I had to say. Outside of that, that's like pretty much it. That's pretty much all I got. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's a decent, entertaining film
Yeah.
about someone's life. So it's like not much to say in the grand scheme of things. Like
Yeah,
it.
no, it's pretty straightforward. Like you know what you're getting into for this movie for the most part. Um, I think like if you go in, you're already a fan of Queen, you're gonna like this movie. You go in, you kind of like Queen, you might enjoy this movie. You go in, you don't have any feelings towards Queen. Maybe you come out liking Queen. Maybe you're like, why did I just watch this movie about some guy and band that I don't really know nor care about? That's possible too. But all in all, I think it's definitely worth seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like there are some confusing things, but everything that you brought to light kind of goes okay. Well, it's supposed to be because it's
Yeah,
embellished
well,
a
and
little
that's
bit
and that's the
entertaining.
thing about this movie being that it's like a biopic that you can kind of fact check the movie afterwards and you can look into it more. Like it encouraged looking into it more. At least I thought so because like when I got home last night, I was googling all sorts of things, and today at work I googled a few things just about the movie, just kind of learn a little bit more of the story that I didn't know out front.
Right, because like I'm confused about a lot of things now. Like I there's just like a lot of the turmoil just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And now that it's kind of expressed that it's a little bit embellished or not quite the whole
Mm-hmm.
truth, kind of
Mm-hmm.
just explains why like my thoughts about it are a little fractured and stuff because
Right.
the Mary dynamic, like to me in the movie, and like that might just be his acting, like when he says like you're the love of my life, I think he actually means it.
He does. Absolutely. Oh, and then like in real life, like when he died, he left her his estate. Like because he even said he was like, if I continued living the life of a straight man, I know for sure I would have married her. Like they were engaged in real life as well. He's like, I know she would have, and she deserves this. She was the only person like in the world who I truly trusted until I met Jim. So yeah, so that like it very 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 real how his relationship with Mary in the movie.
Okay, because like that was just so confusing, and like even when she left, I was like, he's like, no, I really do love you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you really do mean the world to me. Like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I have some things that I don't like. And he kind of mentioned, yeah, I'm bi. And I'm kind of like, all right, like, I believe that. But she's like, nah, you're gay. And like, I don't know a lot of history. So it was just kind of like, to me, I was kind of like, well, it could be the acting, but I believe you. Like that was the actual situation. So it was kind of like she didn't have to stay or anything like that.
No,
But
she
like,
didn't.
it felt like one of those situations to where he was telling the truth. And
Yeah.
like there could have been some kind of workaround, but instead she was like, even the way she left, like the way they worded it, I was like, I don't know, man. Like that just feels like they either A, didn't get all the information that they needed to from her, or B, like they just didn't want to put it in the movie, or like that just
Yeah, I mean,
didn't
no,
feel like
it
the whole
was
story.
even from what I was reading, it seemed like a very amicable split. They were still very close, to the end, to the point where I even think that she helps with the Freddie Mercury Foundation that raised money for AIDS after he died. So they were still very, very, very close throughout their entire life.
Okay, so maybe the scene where they're kind of have two houses next to each other and he's turning on the light might be a little embellished then, that
I
it
think
wasn't
that
that
might be
dark.
true. I don't know about the whole light thing, but I'm pretty sure he did buy her a house next to him.
Right. Was it as dark though? Because that was like a really dark part of the movie for me. I was like, dude, you're, ugh, and it's
What, he's
just,
just sad because he didn't have any other friends?
yeah, pretty much
I mean, maybe. I don't know. It's not like someone writes all these intimate moments of his self down, but I'm
written
I'm
down. Yeah.
pretty sure, yeah, like that's the idea. Like Freddie Mercury didn't have a lot of friends. He had a lot of fake friends because he was Freddie Mercury, but there was only a few people who he trusted. Those were his family, not like necessarily his mom, dad, sister, which I'm sure he trusted them as well. Not always his dad, but towards the end, his dad. But like his bandmates and Mary, like those were his family. Jim towards the end, like that was his family. He trusted all those people. Those are the people he did love. Those are the people he could talk to. Whereas everybody else was, they were there because he was Freddie fucking Mercury.
Right. Which is probably pretty cool at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I got, man. Like this, like I said, pretty straightforward movie.
Yeah.
Like if you're into Queen, if you're into the history and stuff like that of musicians and artists and just anybody musically, I think it's a worthwhile listen. I've listened to quite a few lately, including Eric Clapton. I think I listened to Quincy Jones as well. All really, really great, like bio type situations to where they explain all the different things and the struggles of their lives. And once again, I'll say it again, and this is why I actually truly like the movie. And I left the movie feeling reinvigorated, like pain's a part of life, and you can shun from it, you can hide from it, but it's better to just embrace it, be yourself, and do your best to create the best kind of art / whatever it is you're attempting to do. It's just go heads forwards, because like you're gonna get walloped on the way, that's just a part of life, and
Exactly.
just press forward because there's nothing better to do, and then just do your best to ground yourself in some decent people because life, just people.
Yeah.
Could be a little evil, but that's all I got, man. Anything from you, man? Closing statements or anything?
No, I'll give my score if you want.
Sure, shoot.
All right, so I mean, definitely I'm recommending it. This is in my recommendation category, and I am going to give it a good review. 4-star. I very much so enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a good movie. It was an enjoyable movie, even though sometimes it wasn't necessarily 100% true, but if you make something 100% true, it's probably not going to be 100% enjoyable. So yeah, definitely 4-star, 4 out of 5. I dug this movie.
Okay, I would give this movie a 7. It's a great movie, and if anybody knows how my grading scale works, 5 is dead, lukewarm, medium.
Not bad nor not really good.
Yeah. So it's like 7's a great score. I enjoyed the movie. It's definitely entertaining, even if you're not the biggest fan, because I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan. I appreciate art. I appreciate musicians. I appreciate craft, and, I just enjoyed the exploration of that universe. So, that's kind of where I stand. As far as that goes, that pretty much closes our podcast. I think this is the shortest podcast that we've had in a really long time.
While.
Yeah, because we're usually like be a fast podcast, And
then it goes for like 4 hours, and we're like hour 37 of us talking about this really weird movie.
So
this was a short one.
Yeah. Whether we decide to go with a game or a movie next week, although there's a lot of good movies, a fair amount of good games, but more good movies this month. So. Be on the lookout for that. We'll let you guys know probably in a message shortly before. And outside of that, that's all I got for you. Dan, one last time to share to the world.
Go see that movie if you like Queen. I mean, if you don't, as long as you don't like have a hate for Queen or gay people, maybe if you really don't like gay people, don't see this movie. There's quite a few of them in this movie. Also, get your shit set, figured out. I don't know why you still hate gay people or why you ever did, but whatever. But no, very good movie. Definitely check it out.
And if you're watching now, just because it's going around, and it's probably a good thing to do, go vote. It's that time
definitely.
of the year.
Tomorrow's election day. Go vote.
You should just get it done, man.
T.
All right. Until next time, guys. See you later.
Later.